Welcome back to You Be the Judge. My guest is Alison Treat, and our topic is a novel that'll be published in the winter. And Alison, we talked a little bit about the acknowledgments that start a book. But tell me a little bit about how you go from an idea to a finished product.
Well, I like to say that the work comes to the artist and asks to be written. So it wasn't that I sat around trying to think of how this was going to work. I just start writing, and I come up with a very, very, very rough draft. And then I go back. I mean, revision is really the majority of the work.
Do you start off with an outline?
No, I don't.
You just start to write?
I just start writing. And then I have a lot of input from other people who know what good writing is and can recognize things that perhaps I'm not seeing.
When you start writing, when do you do your historical analysis? When do you go to Georgia? When do you travel around to the buildings here that are the site of some of the activity?
Most of it after the first draft. Because the idea came to me and I started writing, and then as I wrote, I realized I don't know enough about this. I need to find out more. I need to make sure that I have the right feel for Georgia and the right details about life in 1860, even in Wilkes-Barre, because Sydney, my protagonist, ate a sandwich about 15 times in the book in the first draft, and I found out that sandwiches were not very popular until the early 1900s, and I had to completely change all of that then. So that kind of thing, mistakes I made were just things that are so common in our life today that it's almost difficult to put yourself back in that time and know how it was different.
So you spent a lot of time with the folks in the Historical Society?
Not a lot of time. I spent most of my research time reading, but I did go to the Historical Society and I looked through, old newspapers, copies of the Luzerne Union, which was the newspaper in Wilkes-Barre at that time, from 1860. So I looked at those on microfilm and I printed out a lot of pages and brought them home with me. So, and looked at maps of Wilkes-Barre, the closest that I could find to 1860. So.
And you do the same thing in Georgia?
I did not go to the Historical Society. I didn't need as much detail about Georgia. I just wanted to get a feeling for what it was like in the South and what their homes might be like. Because as a teen, I had read Gone with the Wind, and you think of Atlanta as a very booming metropolis with plantations, and that's not really how it is, or how it was. It's now a booming metropolis, but it was not at that time. Margaret Mitchell wrote Gone with the Wind. She wrote Atlanta more like Savannah was. And so I had to kind of discover that, okay, my protagonist is not from a plantation, he's from an estate, and his father was part of the Roswell Manufacturing Company instead of a cotton plantation owner. So there were a lot of ways that I had to tweak and change and rewrite what I had come up with in the beginning.
How the book gets released in the winter, how
Yes.
do you get the word out that you have a book, and what are your plans for the public relations campaign that follows the release of the book?
Well, I'm working on a website. I have a blog.
Now, what's your blog so people can visit it?
It's joyinthejourneyblog.blogspot.com.
Joy in the Journey
blog.blogspot.com.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'm going to be working on putting together a real website also. And I have a Facebook author page that people can like and follow me. They'll find out about the book there. And once it's out, you can go to...
Of course, once you've appeared on this show, there's no doubt in my mind they'll probably want you from The View and
Right.
Jay Leno.
Yeah, I was
and
hoping
others.
for Good Morning America.
Yeah. I expect we'll see you there.
Okay.
But don't forget us. And you be
Oh,
the
I
judge.
won't. It all started here.
That's right.
Right.
So you've got the blogs, you've got the website.
Yes.
You'll have some book signings.
Yes, I will. I will. I expect to have some readings with local writing groups, and there's a public library branch in the mall at Steamtown where I'm hoping to have a reading there.
Have you talked to any of the school districts? Either the Wilkes-Barre School District,
Not yet,
the
but
Scranton School District?
I think that would be a good route to go.
It'd be wonderful. It comes out in the winter. It'd also be. It sounds like it'd be a wonderful Martin Luther King type
Yes.
time period to get into the schools and talk about the book.
Yes.
I think
would
it's
fit with that,
just
yeah.
tremendously exciting that we have a local author and a local publisher. And I hope to reach out and maybe you can talk to your publisher about having her on the show.
Okay, yes.
I think that would be awesome.
That would be
a little
exciting.
closer to the release of the book, and then maybe we can have you come back and let people know where they can come for a copy of the book and a book signing, and see if we can get this off the ground and
That would
get
be
it moving.
wonderful.
So when we come back, a few more words with Alison Treat, and we'll talk a little bit more about your book and the excitement surrounding its release. So stay tuned to You Be the Judge. Welcome back to You Be the Judge. Alison, before the break we were talking a little bit about the book, but the cover has a local twist to it as well.
Yes, my longtime friend and mentor, Sue Hand, who is from Dallas, she did the painting that's going to be on the cover.
And the painting, which our audience can see, depicts what?
It's the Susquehanna River, where runs right through Wilkes-Barre, and Sydney, the protagonist, spends a lot of time there, fly fishing and just kind of communing with nature.
Of course, the Susquehanna River, most people don't realize, but runs all the way from Cooperstown, New York, to the Chesapeake Bay.
Right.
And was that a route that the runaway slaves followed to get north?
I'm sure it was. I don't know of that particular route, but it seems likely that they would have found the river and followed that north because it did lead them that way.
I am in love with the Susquehanna River. One of my bucket lists would be to take a kayak from Cooperstown all the way the length of the Susquehanna River. I just think it's a magnificent river. We have an office in Towanda, Pennsylvania, which, as a historian and an author, a visit to Towanda, you would, if you haven't done it, it is magnificent. And there's some beautiful bed and breakfasts. We have good friends, the Flynn's, who own the Towanda Bed and Breakfast, which is magnificent, or Bradford Bed and Breakfast.
Right. Okay.
And Victorian Charm and some others. But the history in Towanda, they've done such a great job. All of the old mansions have plaques on them. One of the biggest toy factories in America was in Towanda at one time.
Okay.
Camptown Races was written by Stephen Foster.
Yes.
As a boy, he lived in Towanda.
I did not know that.
And and I can't remember his name, but my Republican friends will remind me of it, I'm sure. But the founder of the modern Republican Party was from Towanda as well. So, I mean, there's a lot. The courthouse is magnificent. So, but the trip we take a kayak trip from my office in Towanda down to my office in Pittston, and it's 75 miles. And it goes through the beautiful Wyalusing Rocks, and it goes through past Standing Stone, which was the major Indian gathering place, and just a great river. And
It is.
So we look forward to your book.
Thank you.
And I can't thank you enough for being with us.
I can't thank you enough for having me.
And if you'll talk to your publisher and Sue Hand, maybe we can do a discussion of the book, the cover, and the publishing house all at once. And I think that'd be very exciting.
That would be.
Thank you very much for visiting with us, and good luck with the book.
Thank you.